Hello, everyone. Almost Shabbat Shalom. Almost Lionsgate opening. Almost so many new changes, new shifts. Changes and shifts. And this is an opportunity for each one of us. Each one of us to find that place within us that is a play that is authentic at this point and moment in time to our true selves. Because every time we are going through something, we discover new things, we discover new angles, we discover new understandings about ourselves, about what we are here to do, about the people we are around, about the situations we get ourselves into or we are in. And water is the water is a representation of flow. Water is a representation of love. Water is a representation of the Torah, a representation of flow, of going together, moving forward, and yet not to swim with the flow all the time. Not always to go with the flow. A fish that is alive when a fish knows how to swim up the flow and against the flow, or not just succumbing to what is around. And yes, and it's in every aspect of life. So, hello, 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 hello. I found this beautiful space here in Topanga. I love coming here. Didn't come here in a long time. I want to make sure that you can see you can see the water flow, the waterfall. Really nice. Yeah, let me see. Let me do this. There you go. There you go. Waterfall, water flow, shifts, changes, relationships, and it affects, and it's in every aspect in our lives. All right, every aspect is a relationship. Whether it is a relationship to somebody, whether it is a relationship with ourselves, and our relationship to what is happening, our relationship to what is unfolding. We have so many things that we're going to talk about today, and of course, I love to hear your comments and your questions. And if you have chocolate you want to give me as an emoji, I love chocolate. Just a lot of things. So we have Lionsgate, this huge portal, of change that is here, and it's not a sudden thing that is happening Monday night. It is accumulation of things. Right? It's accumulation of things. So we're heading towards the portal. Also this weekend is Tisha B'Av, is the 9th of the month of Av in the Hebrew calendar, and in that date, the second temple was destroyed, was ruined, was destroyed, was taken down, and and this is the commemoration of the destruction of the temple, and the wishing, of course, that the salvation, every faith or every religion talks about it in a different way, talking about Messiah, right? Many people have this concept of that the Messiah is a person, somebody who comes down, who lives through that person, and all these kind of things. Where, if you think about it in reality, look what we're going through now. We're going through an awareness and consciousness expansion. We learn to notice more to things that are happening, things that maybe we haven't paid attention to before, but how are they manifesting, and realizing that certain steps need to be taken. And so we have this portal, and also so that the temple, it was said it was ruined because sinat chinam, because free hate, right? What is free hate? I mean, there's no such a thing as free hate. If somebody does something, you don't just go and you see somebody on the street and you see, and then you say, "Oh, I don't like this person. I hate them." It doesn't work that way. What we don't like, what we are not identifying with, or what we sometimes we are really rejecting, strongly rejecting, is the actions that that person is doing, or is the way that this person is conducting themselves, whether without kindness or without understanding of the other side or without seeing the lay of the land. So we're really not about that person. It's not about making that person better. It's about understanding that their action is their action because of the place that the where they are, and it's not them, but it is their actions that they're doing. And these actions can stem from patterns, from wounds that are being triggered, and similar to like when we associate ourselves with our emotions, like instead of saying I'm angry, you can say I feel anger. So in the same way, it is not that person, it is what the person is doing. So I love you, but not what you do. So our sages had a sentence says chavruta or mituta, meaning company, to be with a company, to be with somebody, or if you're not with somebody, you, you rather not live. And so that talks about the connections, those connections that we create and that we make meaning from these connections because we are bonded to that person and then we create this meaning. And so every person wants to be liked. Every person wants to go to be in a relationship or to be in a group and to be liked and to be seen, because this is part of how we're built, right? Hold on a second. We want to be seen. We want always to be seen. We want to be acknowledged. That is in our DNA. And the sages knew about this way before we're talking about this, and way before there was the internet and all this information, where there was Kabbalah and there was downloads and so forth. So b'matuta or b'chavruta, everybody wants to be together. We want to connect. This is in our DNA, to be connected, to be seen together. And some people are losing that. Some people are why this is not working? Why am I being, let's say, why is this group denying me, or why is this group extraditing me, or why is this relationship not working? You know. And so this portion of the week, Parashat Devarim, uh, Deuteronomy, but it's actually what it says in Hebrew is Dvarim, is things that are being said. Dvarim comes from the word dibur, to talk, to speak. So those are talks. Those are things that Moses says to Israel just before he is about to pass over. He's telling them all these things that are kind of criticism, but he does it in a way that is really a great lesson. Just like every week, just like every portion of the week is a great lesson on how we are and how relationships that we are in, how they can flourish. And so it stays, אלה הדברים, I'm reading and then I'll translate, אלה הדברים אשר דיבר משה אל כל ישראל בעבר הירדן, במדבר. Basically what he's saying is these are the things that that Moses spoke to Israel in the Jordan, in the desert, in the Arava, near Suf, near Paran, near Tofel. Now, the question is, all those places that are being talked about don't appear anywhere in the Torah. And these Zahav, they don't appear there, like as if Israel were not there. But what is happening here, Moses, before he's dying, he's on his deathbed, and he tells these things to the Israelites. Now, there is here a great lesson. Rashi, who was one of the commentators, said that Moses learned from Jacob. Jacob, back in Egypt times, Reuven, who was the oldest son, he was involved deeply in selling and was responsible for selling Joseph to slavery. And Jacob didn't say anything to Reuben until he was on his deathbed, was about to pass out, to pass away. And he said that the reason I didn't say this to you until now is because I did not want to lose you. I did not want to lose you as a son, because you probably would be feeling shame, you would feel remorse, you would feel all these things, and he did not want to lose him. So Moses learned from Jacob, and what he said to Israel, he mentioned all these places as a hint. As a hint. For example, if you're going into you're having a session of criticism, and you want to criticize somebody, you want to say something to somebody, and we talked about it. I talked about this a few times about the sandwich effect, right? Or you start first with positive reaffirmations and about the person. You put in the middle what you want to convey, the issues that you want to convey in a way that is maybe not condescending and not judging. And you put this in this way. And then at the end, you close that sandwich with, again, praise and understanding, not lying, but finding the good things in the person and saying that to the person. Well, there are times when we're going through certain things, and we're talking with somebody, we're talking with a friend, we're talking with a spouse, don't even with a child. And with children, it works really, really effectively. Do you remember, and you said the kids, you're saying, you remember what happened there in Paran? You remember? Okay, let's move on. You remember what happened with the golden calf? All right. I want you to remember these things. So the way that he spoke, the way that Moses spoke to Israel, is a great tool for how do we speak with our spouses, with our kids, with our families, with our friends, with people around us. If there is a way that we can convey the message by a hint, by remez, by a hint, let's do that. Let's do that with a hint. Because especially if you are in front of people, especially if I'm confronting somebody in front of people, maybe that directly, if I will specify out everything directly, it may embarrass that person in front of all the people. But then you say, well, what, are you not supposed to confront a person, to tell them what they've done if they've done something wrong? Of course. Yes, to confront, yes, to say. But be careful that by saying that in the way that I confront the person, I'm actually not creating myself my own quote unquote sin against that person. Again, the word sin in Hebrew is different. The word sin in Hebrew doesn't mean sin like we know it in English. It means to miss the target. Le'achti, chet, meaning missing the target. So I may do something right by confronting the person and telling them what they've done wrong, but at the same time, I'm confronting them judgingly. I'm confronting them, and I'm causing them to be ashamed, and I am calling them names or something like that. And while I did deliver the message, I created a different problem and a different miss point of getting the effectiveness, and then the person gets resentful and so forth. Um, the when we're looking at children, one of the rabbis said, a child is like a spring. Those springs. Remember those? Remember when we were kids, we used to take the ball pens out and take those little springs and press on them, and then it jumps up. And so a child is like a spring. The stronger the more tight you make it, the higher it flies. The higher it flies. So a kid, when we're talking to a child, just like Jacob did to Reuben or Moses did to Israel, this is an analogy to how we are with our children. It is, how do we say this? If we keep nagging the child, if we keep pushing the child, if we're, why did you do this? Why are you not doing this? Why are you coming this? Why are you not here? But I told you, but I didn't tell you, but I don't understand, but why? We are pressing the kid, we're pressing the child, or in a relationship. We're pressing, and then the minute there is the first opportunity, that spring will jump out. So it is not what we want to say. People say in Hebrew, I'm sure there is also in English, say, oh yeah, constructive criticism. Hey, don't worry. Hey, I want you to take this criticism as a constructive criticism, meaning, oh, if I say the word constructive, it's not going to offend somebody. The minute now I said constructive criticism, oh, I can say whatever I want now, however I want, right? Yeah, we got to pay attention to those little subtleties, the subtleties, the subtleties in the sound. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a spiritual mentor and I'm a sound therapist. And I work with sound to identify and to find those subtleties in the sound. Sometimes the silence is effective, no less than the sound itself. If we look at the music, at a song, these days, we look at a song, how many you'll see silence? There's da 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 dum, ba da 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 dum. Right? The silence is part of the music. Silence, the subtleties of the sound. What do I mean by that? Is like, how do I say something? Do I say something in an anger? Do I say something in confrontation, in judgment? Do I say something in kindness? And with couples, it starts one thing. One person says something that is in a certain tone, in a judging tone, and then the other person reacts because they are being triggered, and then react, and then the snowball becomes big and big and big, and before you know it, you need a truck to move that thing away, or just put hot water. Right? So it's how we're saying. So what Moses is doing here is teaching, is bringing a lesson about how are we to conduct, how are we to be in a relationship, how to say something. If you can say something in a hinted way, coupled in that sandwich, I want to say something, coupled in that sandwich, we pretty much have a golden triangle of delivering something. Is the recognition of the good deeds that person is doing, then saying what we want to say in hint if possible, and then ending it with conclusion of good deeds, what that person is doing. And that person is not taking it as judgment, as breathing down somebody's neck. It is an evolution. And it takes both sides, because it takes two to tango always. So it takes both sides always in a relationship. And this portal, this week has been complete messages every day, in and out, and it's building up towards this portal about the alone factor. Being alone, going through these alone, being called into what one needs to do, being called into what you need to do, being called into what I need to do, what you need to do, what we need to do. Yes, we talk about coming together and our unity is our power, and it is so. And when we are in a place that is not authentic, that is not truthful more to our current self. The reason I'm kind of like squinching about the word authentic, because if you think about it, authentic will keep changing, just like we keep changing. So what was authentic to me today wasn't authentic to me 10 years ago, or I didn't see it as authentic to me 10 years ago. Or what I see today as authentic may be totally different 5 years from now, or a year from now, or tomorrow. It depends on the stages of the journey that I'm going through, what I'm experiencing, and what I get as an understanding, as a breakthrough, or as an understanding of where I am. So Now, this portal, it's not coincident that it falls exactly in the ninth of Av, because the ninth of Av, the temple was destructed, was ruined because of free hate. What is free hate? Again, like I said, we don't go just around the street and we say, "Oh, I hate you. Oh, I hate you." No, but it is those kind of things that if we're not paying attention to how we say things, example, it develops resentment. We're developing resentment toward that person. We're developing all kind of things that pulls us away from our center, which is love, pulls us away from that place, which is acceptance and compassion and kindness, and puts us in a space of competitiveness, of resentment, and that is what brings the energy of hate. Because resentment, not wanting to be near that person, or being in a group and don't want and extraditing that person because that person is going through something, and nobody in that group has the courage to go up to that person and say, "Hey, what's going on? Is everything okay? You know, is there something we can do?" Like, you're in a group and you see somebody that wants to be heard all the time, that is creating a mess, that is creating a conundrum, that's just creating a lot of things. And the easiest way is to say, "You know what? Leave me from that person, or call an ambulance, or something. Leave me from that person." It's very easy to say, rather than um, asking what's going on. Because remember, it is not what the person is. We are all beings of light. We all are. We all are. Those who are doing good deeds and those who are doing the opposite of good deeds. Okay? Whether it is between us to the place, meaning us to God, or us to the creation, or dirtying earth, ruining, taking resources, or between us to the other person, between us lechavero, to his friend, to a person in front of him. Whatever that is, we all are beings of light, right? We all are beings of light. So, so why don't we like other certain people? Why some certain people just brings us this place of craziness? Why some people in groups or people in relationships that, oh, camera is moving. Oh, I moved my legs. All right. What, why can't we stand certain people? So it is not the people. It is what they do, what they represent, how they are managing themselves in front of you. It's their actions that we really don't like. It's really their actions that we sometimes despise, we don't like. And so, and then that's not likingness is coming from a place of judgment, and therefore it's creates an energy of judgment, creates energy of, and it's all boiling down to fear, which eventually continues to trickle down the lower of the frequency to shame. Shame is the lowest of the frequencies, and it all boils down to shame. So we don't want to be seen like that. We don't want to be ashamed. We don't want to be taken for granted. We don't want to be seen weak, as we considered weak. And so when we say, "Oh, I don't like this person in that group," or with coupling, or one of the people in the coupling develops some kind of anger, of resentment, that goes into a place of judgment, and then it's very easy to continue to snowball and to grow that snowball. And this portal is not coincidental that it is together with Tisha B'Av, because the fix for this free hate is free love. Is to understand that we are beings of light. We are beings of light. And as beings of light, those people who we see that are not, we think are not good for us, are not this for us, they are angry, they are resentful. This is the work. This is the fix. Is free love. And this portal, it is all about accepting our gifts, accepting our new paths. We have been in a huge bottleneck of pushing through this canal of darkness, this canal of hate, this canal of just yuckiness. And we are going through openings, and openings that are unimaginable yet. And not just that, when we are in our center, when we understand and we believe and we trust that as we walk off the cliff, ground will appear underneath our feet. As we walk off the cliff, trusting that the ground will appear when we cross. This is about this portal. Changes, shifts, things that you've been afraid of doing, this is the time, because this time has this huge and enormous energetic power to shift everybody in their own spiritual growth level. Everybody has a different level. You know, we may look at something and we, three people, and we, all three of us, see something completely different. I'm looking at this frame now that we are broadcasting. I see something, I see me, I see the water. You may look at something like it has before and you say, oh wow, what did I see in the clouds? Or you may notice an animal that I didn't see. Somebody else will notice something else. It is like the story that sages are talking about, this man that had a wife and a kid, and he worked for years, and he saved hundreds of thousands of pounds. And he put all these in the closet, all these bills in the closet, keeping them away, tucking them away. Why? Because I want to put this $500,000, I want to buy this new great house. I want to buy this new great house. Comes home one day, and his eyes are, his kid, 4-year-old kid, found the closet, found the stash, and ripped every dollar, every bill, ripped every bill. And the mom there is crying, and the kid is crying because the mom slapped the kid. So now there are three people with one situation, and each one of them looking at a different thing. The kid is crying because he got spanked. He doesn't know that. The wife is crying because now there is no $500,000. And the father is crying because now I don't have the other 2 million house that I wanted to buy. So everybody has a different perspective. Everybody has a different level of spirituality and growth that is specific and unique to each one of us. So during this time of this opening of this portal, of trusting in your journey, trusting in the shifts that are happening, trusting that when I put my foot forward, the ground will appear underneath my foot. Trusting that the shifts and the changes and the growth and the gifts that you have are now to be revealed, are now to come out, are now for us to do our hishtadlut, to do our effort, and the rest is what will be, will be. But we have to do our effort. So with this going and doing our effort and breaking through these barriers and breaking through these difficulties, is trusting with love or in love that everything is here for us and everything is okay. And what will be already happened. So everything is okay. And with the water flow, can't do otherwise. So, yes, it's been a great week, and it's going to be even a greater week coming up. And the portal and Tisha B'Av, and we are here together. Shabbat Shalom. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend.